Hello everyone, it's Phil here from 121 IELTS, and in today's video we are going to be looking at IELTS Writing Task 2 and how to write explanation sentences for an opinion essay. We're going to be looking at a video that I did with my students, and we're going to be looking at a question that we started last week. You can find the link to that video up here. And we're going to be looking at what makes good explanation sentences, how we develop them, and how we make them sufficiently specific. Writing good explanation sentences is key to fully developing your ideas in any type of essay. So let's have a look at today's class. Let's have a look at some of the common mistakes that my students make and see how we write good explanation sentences. When we write explanation sentences, the purpose of an explanation sentence is to develop the idea that you introduced in your topic sentence. So to do that, we ask yourself why or how questions relating to the idea of your topic sentence. And this is how we're going to develop. We don't want to just paraphrase the topic sentence. So a lot of people do that. They just kind of repeat what they said in the topic sentence in a different way. That is not developing your idea. We need to be actually expanding it. And we don't want to write new ideas. So if we start writing new ideas, we have a list of undeveloped ideas, and that's going to limit you to a band 6 for your task response. So we want to be making sure that we focus on our topic sentence, everything is connected to the topic sentence, and asking why and how questions. If you're writing an opinion essay like this one, it's a good idea to write 2 sentences of explanation because we have a really basic structure here. So we only have to think about topic sentence, explanation sentence, and example. There's only 3 parts to our main body paragraphs. So to make sure that we're fully developed, we should think about 2 sentences of explanation. Anyone in the chat, can you tell me what is a good way to write our second explanation sentence? And Gabby says results. Exactly, yeah. We can give a result. Should we write our result in the first explanation sentence and then the second explanation, think about the why and the how? No. That is not a good way of expanding. We want to think about why or how in the first one. We can just continue that. It's perfectly fine to think about 2 whys and 2 hows if you want to expand your ideas, but definitely do not put your result first. Put your result after the why and the how idea. So the question we have been working on was referring to advertising. And so some people think that there should be a complete ban on all forms of advertising. To what extent do you agree or disagree? And our first idea that we came up with last week for our first topic sentence was one reason why I disagree that advertisements ought to be prohibited is that they educate people about new products. So when we're thinking about an explanation for this, what part of this sentence do I want to be thinking about why or how? What is the question I'm really asking myself? Okay, so Reben says how they are educated. So yeah, thinking about how do advertisements educate people? Is it just to educate people? Or is it, because if I say why that or how they are educated, I would be talking about educated in general. Gabby says educated about new products. Exactly. So we want to very specifically think about this. The explanation needs to refer to your main idea. So it's this final part of the topic sentence that we're always going to refer to. Everything before that is just a nice structure to make topic sentences. But this right here, this final clause is what we're referring to. So we want to think about how advertisements educate people about new products, or why advertisements educate people about new products. How can we start an explanation sentence? What kind of cohesive device would be a nice way to start an explanation? This is because Do I put a comma after this expression? No. Okay, so this is a common mistake that students put a comma here. This is because, remember the structure, it does not have a comma. That is to say, this is good. Can I put a comma after this expression? Someone else said, this is to say, so this is completely up to you. You can choose that is to say, or this is to say. Both of these expressions are fine. And then Gabby said, in other words, do I put a comma after this expression? Yes. And one final one, that this is to say that, do I put a comma after this? No. Why are we not putting a comma here? What is the rule that stops us putting a comma after this expression? That, exactly. We don't put a comma after the word that, usually in English. Do I have to use a cohesive device to start an explanation? Evan says no, correct. So it's not essential. We don't want to be doing, and I think a lot of teachers teach students to do this, and it's not very natural, is to put cohesive devices at the beginning of every single one of their sentences. This becomes a little bit over the top. To use a sprinkling of cohesive devices is good, but you don't want to overuse them. And if you see native speakers and good writers, they don't excessively use cohesive devices. So now and again is fine, but don't feel that you are obligated to use these cohesive devices at the beginning of every single sentence. Okay, so let's just look at the very first sentence to start with. So we're going to be thinking about a why or how. So I don't want you to worry about writing a result at the moment, only sentence one. This is because, that is to say, and then explain how or why advertisements educate people about new products. If you're watching this video at home, make sure that you actively participate in the video and write some sentences yourself. If you need more time, you can always hit the pause button. Okay, let's look at these three to start with. And then, okay, so let's look at this first one. This is because they give information about new products. Is this giving us a why or a how? So Gabby says no. What is this doing, really? If I look at this, it looks like we're just paraphrasing this. So this is because they give information about new products. They educate. So what we're doing really here is just paraphrasing what educates mean. I would give it out of 3, a 1 out of 3 for an explanation. How do we know if something is specific enough? What I'm going to do is I'm going to repeat the original question to myself and see if I'm still left asking questions. This is because they give information about new products. So can I still ask myself, why do they give information about new products? And in this instance, yeah, definitely, I can still be like, well, they give information about new products. Why? We know by looking at this, we need to give more information to be more specific. Why do they give more information? Why do they give information about new products? So Revin, yeah, so what type of information? So how can we make this a little bit more specific, Revin? This is because they give information about new products as, Gabby, brilliant. Yeah, benefits of their use. So let's have a look at this. Is this a bit more specific? This is because they give information about new products, such as when, where, and how to use them, and the benefits of their use. Now, if I ask myself why or how to this, is there a why or how to this? Correct, Gabby. So when I look at this, I'm like, okay, there's no longer a why or a how. It's a lot more specific. When? Well, I can't say why, when. I know exactly. Okay, so it's telling me when I can use these products. It's showing me where I can use these products. It's showing me how to use them. So this has become very, very specific. So this is a much better explanation. And how I'm checking that is just by asking, once I've finished writing it, why or how. If there's still a why or how to be answered, the explanation was too vague. Now, there is no why or how question to be answered. This is a good, specific explanation. So we're going to use the same strategy to have a look at the next one. This is because some companies use this educational strategy to explain people. Here we use this preposition. So if you're going to use the word explain and an object, you explain to explain to people how to use their products. Is there a why or how here, which we can still answer? The reference says a little. Also, this part here, this educational strategy. So this means we have referred to an educational strategy already. Is there any educational strategy mentioned in topic sentence 1? So I don't see an educational strategy here. This is a little bit confusing. So what do they use to explain to people how to use their products? Our topic here was advertisements or advertising, as Mary said. Both of these would be fine here. This is because some countries use advertisements to explain how to use their products. They show them how to use their products. How do they show them how to use their products? So I think we can still ask this question. So how can we add to this? The kind of expression I'm going to be using is a by expression, because I'm going to be showing an action that how to use their products. So companies use advertisements to explain to people how to use their products by, what do they do? And after by, we're going to have a gerundial phrase. So if I put here, by educating them, here, this is what we call like circular reasoning. Companies use advertisements to explain to people. So to explain to people basically means to educate. We're saying they use advertisements to educate people how to use their products by educating them. So we're going around and around and around. This is not good logical explanation. What do they do? What shows people how to use their products? Gary said, by giving information about the benefits of their use. Okay, this is much more specific. Mary said, making them aware of their benefits. Again, much more specific. So this is because some companies use advertisements to explain to people how. So if you see, right, to explain to people how, this is the educating part, so this is fine. To use their products by giving information about the benefits of their use. If I now say why or how, is there any more why or how questions to this? For me, I've explained everything. I've gone into the whys and the hows. This is a fully developed explanation. So this is much better. So let's look at this next one. So this is because they provide information that could be helpful to them in their daily life. So they is very clearly referring to, what is it very clearly referring to? So remember, this is our first body paragraph. One reason why I disagree that advertisements ought to be prohibited is that they educate people about new products. This is because so they is referring to adverts, good. This is fine. Provide information that could be helpful to them. Well, if you're using them after they, these are always going to refer to the same word. So this doesn't make sense. They provide information that can be helpful to people. Maitreya said how we could use consumers. I like this. We use people a lot, so this is going to be a bit more specific. So that can be helpful to. How many consumers do we have? One or many? Because there are many consumers. How many lives do they have? One or many? Many. This is a word I notice that people really make a mistake with plurals on. They love to put life in the singular. You've got to remember who the lives are referring to. So go to your subject, the daily lives of consumers. This needs to be plural. So let's have a look again. This is because they provide information that can be helpful to consumers in their daily lives. So if I ask my why or how, is there any why or how left? I think we've still got a how. How is it helpful to consumers in their daily lives? So this to me, if I was going to give this a mark out of 3, I would say this is a 2. There's definitely some explanation. In this instance, we could use our second paragraph to explain the how. So how could we give a how to this sentence? And quite often when I'm wanting this why or how a second time, trying to use these like by phrases with gerundial phrases is a nice way of doing this. So this is done by So Maitreya said, sharing the benefits of using the product. We're talking about products in general, so we would use the plural here. So Revin said, as a result, people will know how and when to use them. I think here, when we still have a how or a why question, the result is not necessary. The result is a good thing to do. So if we look at our first two, there was no more how or why here. If there's no more how or why, I think we can then move on to as a result. When there's still some how or why, we're still answering this how or why part of the question. Mary said, therefore, making customers aware, we say aware of the benefits of their products. So again, Mary, this is more of a result rather than addressing the why or how in this instance. So let's move on and have a look at Mary's sentence. We have, this is because advertising their products ensures consumers that they understand the benefits and value of companies' products. So this looks quite specific, but our referencing pronouns again look a little bit confusing. So this is because advertising their products. Whose products? Who is they referring to? Yeah, so that's what I thought. Mary was going for the word company. Is there any mention of companies in the first sentence? We're certainly not going to ever refer to a referencing pronoun to something that's in a different paragraph. So look to the sentence beforehand. Is it clear who there is referring to? No. This is because advertising, I think we can simply just say products. We're talking about products in general. We don't need to say who the products belong to. This is because advertising products ensures consumers. This verb is being affected by this person. Remember, the verb goes after the person that is doing the action. This is because advertising products ensures consumers understand the benefits and value of companies' products. Here, the products belong to the company. So how do I show this possession? So we use the possessive apostrophe up here. So once again, we're going to look at this and we're going to ask ourselves this why and how question. Does this answer the why and the how? Still a little bit of how or why. So again, this by educating, but starts to become circular reasoning. Ensures consumers understand. So if you're doing this as educating, so because advertising products educates people about the benefits and values of the company's products by educating them. So this is just repeating. What exactly are they doing? So again, we can maybe do a by. How do they educate? By informing features. Okay, so this very clearly explains the educating part. The consumers understand the benefits and values of companies' products. What was the action to do this? By informing them about the features that these products have. Now, is there any why or how left? So now we've got a really nicely developed explanation. Do you see what we're trying to do here? We're trying to make sure that we keep asking ourselves why or how. If there is any why or how left, we have not explained our ideas sufficiently. Once we have done the whys and hows, and there's no more why or how left in our statement, we can move on and give a result. So for me, I think this is a really nice, well-developed sentence here with some quite high-level grammatical features. If we go back to some earlier ones, so this is a little bit short, I guess. This is because they give information about new products, such as when, where, and how to use them, and the benefits of their use. So we have no more whys here. So I'm just going to look at this first one. How can we add a result to this? Definitely as a result. We could also use therefore to connect here. Okay, let's have a look at this one first. They, so who is they referring to? So I know you're trying to talk about consumers or customers. Has this been mentioned already? This is because they give information about new products, such as when, where, and how to use them, and the benefits of their use. So the word consumer or customer or people has not been mentioned yet, so we can't use this. The expression here we say on the market rather than in the market. So I think this works. This is definitely showing a result of this. Let's have a look at another one. Is easier for people to learn about it. So remember, in English, Gabby, unlike the Spanish, we've got to have a subject. So what is easier? So we actually say it. So you'll get very used to this expression. It is easier, it is more difficult. So as a result, it's easier for people to learn about it. So what is it referring to here? Benefits, okay? Let's say these benefits, because they've already been mentioned. If you're a person who struggles with referencing pronouns, when you are proofreading your work, that should be something you definitely go through. Reread your sentences. Every time you find a referencing pronoun, you need to ask yourself, what does this reference? So here, this is because they give information, so adverts. Let's go to the previous sentence. Is it clear what adverts are? Okay, adverts was the subject of the previous sentence, so this makes sense. It is easier, okay, this it is fine because it's part of a fixed expression. These benefits, so what benefits are we referring to? Can we go back to have benefits been mentioned before? Yes, benefits of their use. So we now know that this referencing word is fine. So make sure you go back and try and connect your referencing words to what they reference to. If it's not clear to you what they're referencing, then you need to use the actual word rather than a referencing word. Better, we've got a couple of sentences, and this is a well-developed explanation for our idea. If anyone at home has any questions, please leave them in the comments or join our Facebook group. Good luck to you all in your studies. Hope you're having a great week, and I will see you next time.